Welcome to F for Forensics, the podcast where we dive deep into the bits and bytes of the digital world.
We're here to help you cut through the noise, get informed.
Exactly. And today, well, we're back with another really exciting deep dive. This one takes us into a realm that's often unseen, a kind of digital crime scene that literally vanishes if you blink.
Fleeting evidence.
We're talking about the challenge and, honestly, the incredible power of live memory forensics, or as we're calling this one, F is for finding ghosts in RAM.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. For anyone familiar with how computers work, think of it like this. If your hard drive is the crime scene after everything's happened, like the static evidence left behind, then RAM, random access memory, well, that's like being at the crime scene, right at the exact moment the digital incident is actually unfolding.
Wow. So real time.
Totally. It's volatile, it's dynamic, it's incredibly fast, it's the computer's workspace constantly changing, and it's filled with secrets that are being actively processed, sometimes in their most vulnerable state.
Vulnerable.
Like unencrypted for a split second. It's like trying to photograph a thought, as it's forming.
And what really gets me is how this information, this crucial digital evidence, just evaporates. The moment the power goes off.
Ooh. Gone.
It sounds like the ultimate fleeting moment. So capturing it live, right when it's there, that's not just important, it sounds absolutely critical.
It is. It's everything sometimes. It's like trying to catch smoke, like you said. You get one shot.
So our mission today, we're going to explore how digital investigators, these modern-day ghost hunters, actually manage to find ghosts in RAM.
Yeah, how they do it, how they capture and then meticulously analyze this volatile memory before it disappears forever, taking all its secrets with it.
And why should you, our listener, care about this? Well, understanding this deeper layer of digital activity gives you, I think, incredible insight.
Definitely.
Not just into, high-stakes cyber attacks or complex legal cases, but even into the devices you use every single day.
It's about appreciating those hidden layers, right? The stuff happening under the hood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uncovering truths that are otherwise gone in a flash, and seeing the amazing skill it takes to snatch those truths from the void. It's a fascinating world. Let's dig in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, maybe we should start with the basics. For listeners maybe new to this, when we say live memory forensics, what does that actually mean? What are we trying to do here?
Right. So at its core, live memory forensics is this critical process, sometimes, honestly, pretty high pressure.
I bet.
Of acquiring, grabbing, and then analyzing a computer system's live memory. It's RAM, the volatile stuff.
Okay.
And the goal is to uncover crucial operational data, forensic artifacts, things that are simply not stored on a traditional hard drive. Or, maybe they are, but they're encrypted or deleted or just not accessible in their current state on the disk.
So it's different from looking at saved files.
Totally different. Think about it. Your hard drive stores the files you save, right? Your documents, your photos, but RAM is where the computer holds its immediate actions, its fleeting thoughts, the instructions it's literally executing right now.
The active stuff.
Exactly. It's the dynamic workspace, constantly churning with data.
So if I'm getting this right, we're not looking for like a deleted Word doc or an old email necessarily. We're diving into something much more dynamic, a different layer of activity.
That's a perfect way to put it, yeah. It's fundamentally about what the computer is actively doing right now, at this very moment.
Not what it did save, but what it is doing.
Precisely. It's not about user-saved files. It's about the temporary data it's processing, holding just for immediate use. Every app you open, every website, every keystroke.
Oh, every keystroke.
Potentially, yeah. They all leave these temporary but often incredibly revealing digital signatures in RAM, your operating system, the apps you're running, every interaction. It all uses RAM. And that use leaves these little traces.
The
ghosts, exactly. This ephemeral data. It only exists while the machine is powered on and running, which is why capturing it immediately is so critical for any investigation. Because like we said, the moment that power is cut, gone for good.
Okay, so you mentioned secrets earlier and ghosts. That really paints a picture. Can you give us some specific examples? Like, what kind of unique transient information can investigators find only in RAM? Stuff that's definitely not on the hard drive once the machine's off. What are these digital phantoms?
Oh, the list is surprisingly rich and often incredibly valuable for an investigator. First off, and this one often shocks people, plain text passwords.
Plain text? Really? I thought everything was encrypted.
Well, Yes and no. You'd assume passwords are always hashed or encrypted, right?
Yeah.
But when you log into a system or an application needs to process your credentials, those passwords often exist in a completely unencrypted, readable state in RAM, even if it's just for a fraction of a second.
Why? Why would they be unencrypted?
Because the CPU, the brain of the computer, needs the actual password in its raw form to verify it against the stored hash or to use it to unlock something. For that brief moment of processing, it has to be plain text.
Okay.
So if an investigator captures RAM at that exact moment, they might just find a credential that unlocks a whole network or a critical system. It's like catching someone mid-sentence revealing the words right before they filter themselves.
That almost sounds too easy, given all the talk about encryption. Is there a common misconception there?
Absolutely. The misconception comes from thinking only about data at rest, how it's stored encrypted on the hard drive. But for data to be in use, to be processed, shown on screen, acted upon, it pretty much always has to be decrypted and loaded into volatile memory.
Okay, that moment of decryption.
That's the vulnerability. That's what RAM forensics exploits. Then there's active malware. This is a huge one. Critical.
Right. Viruses and stuff.
Yeah, but specifically memory resident malware. It's different from the traditional stuff that writes files to your disk. Some malware is designed to execute entirely in memory.
Without touching the hard drive at all.
Exactly. It never writes a detectable file. This makes it incredibly stealthy, really hard for traditional antivirus to spot. It might use clever techniques like process injection or process hollowing.
What are those?
Okay, imagine a bad guy takes a harmless program running on your computer, maybe your web browser.
Okay.
And they sort of hollow it out. They replace its internal instructions with their own malicious code. But it all happens in memory. The browser still looks legit to many security tools.
So it's hiding inside a trusted program.
You got it. Because the malicious code never touches the disk, it's living and executing in disguise.
Yeah.
RAM analysis is often the only way to detect its presence and figure out what it's doing.
Wow. Without RAM analysis, these fileless threats, they'd just be invisible.
Pretty much. Invisible to conventional forensics, yeah. Which makes it way more insidious for security teams trying to defend a network.
How tough is it to actually find that, even with memory analysis?
Oh, it's challenging, definitely. Requires deep expertise, specialized tools. You need to know what subtle clues to look for in memory, like weird process relationships or unexpected code loaded where it shouldn't be. It's a real cat and mouse game.
Okay, what else? What other secrets are hiding in RAM?
Well, moving on, we look for live network connections. RAM gives you crucial, real-time insights into what the computer is talking to right now.
Like who is connected to online?
Exactly. Active IP addresses, the specific ports being used, and importantly, which actual programs are making those connections. It gives you a snapshot of the system's current network activity.
So you can see if it's talking to a known bad server.
Precisely. You can spot command and control servers for malware, detect data being snuck out, data exfiltration, or even identify an active attacker interacting with the system. It's a live feed of network behavior.
Okay, that makes sense.
And beyond that, we uncover running processes and loaded DLLs.
DLLs, what are those again?
Dynamic link libraries. They're basically shared bits of code that different programs can use, like common tools in a workshop.
Gotcha.
Memory analysis shows exactly which applications are running, even the ones trying to hide. And critically, which DLLs are loaded into their memory space.
Why does that matter? Which DLLs are loaded?
Because attackers love to mess with DLLs. They might load a malicious DLL into a perfectly legitimate process to gain control, or they might use a standard Windows DLL in an unusual way to escalate privileges or run malicious commands.
Ah, so seeing the DLLs gives you a more detailed picture of what's really going on.
Exactly. It paints a real-time, comprehensive picture of the system's state. It often highlights suspicious code executions you'd totally miss just looking at the disk. It's like seeing the specific tools a worker is actually holding, not just knowing they're at work.
And I guess smaller, maybe more personal bits of data could be floating around too, things we don't even think of as data.
Absolutely. And these are often forensic goldmines, like clipboard data.
But you just copied and pasted.
Exactly what was recently copied. It could be anything. Chat snippets, account numbers, maybe private encryption keys, even credentials you copied from a password manager to paste into a login box.
Whoa.
That data is only held in memory for a short time. It's meant to be transient. But capturing it can give you direct insight into what a user was doing or what sensitive information they accessed.
Okay, that's powerful.
And finally, think about things like chat logs and browser sessions.
Even if you use, like, encrypted messaging apps.
Yeah.
Or delete your history.
Yep. Even then, while the app encrypts messages on disk, or you clear your browser history, while you're actively using the browser or the messaging app, that data has to be decrypted and processed in memory for you to see it.
Right. Otherwise, you couldn't read it.
Exactly. And once it's decrypted in RAM, it's potentially vulnerable to capture. So investigators can sometimes recover full conversations, detailed URLs, bits of web pages, all from memory. Even stuff that was never meant to be saved or leave a persistent trace.
Wow. So this idea that this critical, often really sensitive data is just gone when you turn off the machine, it really makes getting that snapshot, that immediate capture, absolutely paramount.
It's everything.
It really hits home that digital ghost hunting analogy. You're literally chasing these fleeting active traces that are winking out of existence. It's such a shift from how we usually think about data storage. Like if it's not saved, it's gone. This is catching it in the act.
Precisely, in the act.
Okay, so we got a good picture now of the incredible fleeting data hiding in RAM. The obvious next question is, how? How do investigators actually get their hands on this volatile stuff? What are the tools they use to capture that one-shot opportunity, given how fragile it all is?
Right. This is where the practical side gets really interesting and honestly quite delicate. Acquiring memory correctly is the absolute first step, and it's tricky.
Why tricky?
Because the tools themselves need to be super careful. They have to be what we call minimal footprint.
Minimal footprint, meaning?
Meaning they use as few system resources as possible when they run. Because think about it. The very act of running any program on a live system uses resources. It writes to RAM itself.
So the tool could potentially overwrite the evidence you're trying to capture.
Exactly. It's a fundamental paradox. The attempt to preserve could inadvertently destroy. So you need tools specifically designed to minimize that contamination.
Okay, so what are some of these tools?
Well, some well-known, trusted ones. There's Dump It. It's known for being simple and fast, but its real strength is its design. It's often a single, standalone program.
Why is that good?
Because it means it has an incredibly small footprint when it runs, minimal impact, which is crucial when any change could corrupt evidence. It's great for speed and stealth, especially in a fast-moving situation.
Got some clean.
Then you have tools like Belkasoft Live RAM Capture. Its strength is often cited as user-friendliness, but really it's about robust error handling and working across lots of different Windows versions.
So reliability.
Yeah, reliability under pressure. In real investigations, you run into all sorts of systems, some unstable. A tool that makes acquisition easier and less prone to error, especially across different OS versions, is invaluable. It lets the investigator focus on the what, not just the how.
Makes sense. You need it to just work, especially when time is critical. You mentioned magnet forensics earlier, too.
Yeah, they have one, too.
Are they in this space?
Oh, absolutely. Magnet RAM Capture is another strong player, known for reliability, and it often plugs nicely into their broader forensic workflow tools. People choose it for its robust capture, feeling confident the memory dump is complete and accurate.
So different options, but all focused on that clean, reliable capture.
Exactly. These tools are that critical first step, freezing that fleeting moment in time.
Okay, so now you've got this massive blob of raw memory data. Gigabytes, maybe terabytes. Sounds like just a huge jumbled mess. How on earth do investigators make sense of that? It must be like looking for a needle in a haystack, but the haystack is made of fog, and it's constantly shifting.
Huh. That's a pretty good analogy, actually. Yeah, that's where the powerful analysis platforms come in. These are the specialized software suites that let us decode that memory dump, reveal the hidden structures, the processes, the activities inside.
And the big one is?
The undisputed industry leader, really the backbone of modern memory forensics, is volatility.
Volatility, okay.
It's an open source framework.
Yeah.
But its real power comes from its huge ecosystem of plugins.
Plugins, like browser extensions.
Sort of, yeah. Think of them as hundreds of different specialized tools or lenses that let investigators dissect specific parts of the memory dump.
Okay, examples.
Sure. There's a plugin to list all the processes that we're running. Another one shows the command line arguments used to launch them. There are incredibly specific plugins designed to detect known techniques used by memory-resident malware.
Wow. So really targeted analysis.
Exactly. It's like having a whole lab full of specialized equipment, each designed to pull out one particular piece of information from that raw memory dump. You can look at network connections, open files, registry keys loaded in memory, even fragments of browser history that only exist in RAM for a moment. Each plugin answers a specific question. It makes tackling that huge amount of data manageable.
So instead of one giant microscope trying to see everything, it's like an array of tiny, specialized scopes, each focusing on a different part of the computer's digital brain.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, each designed to answer a specific investigative question. Then you also have Recall.
Recall?
Recall. Yeah, another powerful open source tool, sometimes used as an alternative to volatility or alongside it, has its own strengths, maybe parses certain things slightly differently. In forensics, having multiple tools to cross-validate findings is always a good thing.
Right, get a second opinion, digitally speaking.
Kinda, yeah. And for more integrated incident response, especially in big security operations, Redline from FireEye. Well, now Mandiant Google is widely used.
What's its specialty?
It's really good at identifying indicators of compromise, IOCs, basically signs of badness. It helps security teams quickly triage systems, understand malicious activity in memory, and presents findings in a way that's maybe more focused on immediate threat response.
Okay, and it's not just Windows systems we're talking about, right? What about Linux? Macs?
Crucially, no, it's not just Windows. For Linux systems, LIME, the Linux memory extractor, is super important.
LIME. Okay.
Yeah. It's designed to be lightweight, effective for Linux environments. Think servers, IoT devices, specialized analysis systems. You need tools for all platforms because threats aren't picky about operating systems.
So the toolkit is pretty diverse, covering different OAs and analysis needs.
Absolutely. These tools, they really are like those specialized X-ray machines for the computer's brain, revealing hidden things you just can't see with traditional disk forensics. They are the essential decoders of the ephemeral.
It's clear that getting and analyzing RAM is a serious skill. Let's dig even deeper into the value of the data found. Why are these specific bits of information like passwords or chat logs in RAM so crucial in an investigation? Let's go beyond just they exist to why they matter.
Right. The info in RAM is often a forensic goldmine because it captures the active, unadulterated state of the system. It bypasses a lot of the hiding or deletion techniques used on hard drives. Take usernames, passwords, and decryption keys again.
Okay.
We talked about them existing briefly in plaintext. Why is that so valuable? Because for the system to actually use that password or key to log you in, to decrypt a file, it has to be unencrypted in memory right then.
The moment of use.
Exactly. A successful login often leaves those credentials lingering in RAM for a bit. An application actively working with encrypted data, it might have the decryption key right there in memory, even if just for milliseconds. Capturing that gives investigators direct access. It could unlock encrypted files, gain access to other systems. It's potentially the keys to the kingdom sitting right there.
So even if a file is locked down tight with encryption on the disk, the key, or maybe even the decrypted content itself, might just be sitting in RAM if it was being used.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the decrypted content itself, yeah. Which leads perfectly into chat logs and browser sessions. This is incredibly powerful.
How so?
People often believe that once they close an encrypted chat app or clear their browser history, that data is gone forever. Poof.
Right. Secure apps, private browsing.
But if those chats or web activities were active when the memory dump was taken, the decrypted messages, the full URLs, bits of web pages, they can often be recovered directly from RAM.
Because they had to be decrypted for the user to see them.
Exactly. While you're actively using the app or browser, the data is decrypted and processed in memory. It's sitting there, readable, vulnerable to capture. This gives investigators critical insight into intent, communications, activities that people thought were totally private or temporary. It can reveal conversations they never intended to save.
That's huge for investigators.
It really is. Then there's the malware injected into memory again. We need to stress how advanced this can be.
Beyond just finding a virus file.
Way beyond. Techniques like process hollowing or code injection. We touched on this hijacking a legitimate process like Notepad or your browser.
Right, hollowing it out and putting bad code inside.
Exactly. The attacker creates a suspended copy, guts the original code, injects their malicious code, and then lets it run, all within the memory space of that trusted application. It looks legit to many security tools because it is a legit process, just hijacked.
So it avoids detection because no malicious file is ever written.
Correct. It's entirely fileless. RAM analysis becomes the only way to spot this kind of stealthy threat. It's how sophisticated attackers operate, like ghosts in the machine.
That sounds incredibly hard to find. Like you said, a needle in a haystack. But the needle looks exactly like a piece of hay.
It is that hard.
Yeah.
It requires a deep understanding of what's normal memory behavior versus anomalous. You're looking for tiny deviations, a legit process suddenly talking to weird servers, or having an unusual memory layout. Real detective work at the byte level.
Okay, what else?
And then network connections and DNS lookups in RAM. This live data is critical for understanding current malicious activity.
The real-time map.
Exactly. You can pinpoint command and control servers the malware is talking to right now, see where data might be getting exfiltrated to, identify other machines the attacker might be interacting with, and DNS lookups translating domain names to IP addresses show what websites or servers the system recently tried to contact. That can uncover more attacker infrastructure or targets.
Gotcha. It all paints a picture of active operations.
It does, and it brings us to this core idea, the RAM doesn't lie principle.
RAM doesn't lie.
Well, compared to disk forensics anyway. On disk, you face encryption, deleted files that are partly overwritten, deliberate wiping attempts. It can be tough. But RAM shows the active truth. What the computer was literally processing, often raw, unencrypted, without all those layers of obfuscation or deletion. It's less forgiving for someone trying to hide. It gives you a clearer picture of what actually happened right when it happened.
That's incredibly compelling. Knowing what's in RAM, how vital it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk impact, real-world stories. Can you share some examples where live memory forensics wasn't just helpful, but absolutely saved the day, prevented disaster, uncovered truths that were otherwise buried?
Oh, absolutely. These cases really drive home the power of this. I remember one particularly intense incident, a ransomware attack hitting a client. This wasn't practice, this was live, systems going down.
Oh, wow. High pressure.
Extremely. The key thing was the ransomware payload was identified as active in memory, and this is crucial, before it had started encrypting the main file servers. It was active, but hadn't fully deployed its payload yet.
That critical window again.
Exactly. Seconds mattered. The incident response team knew RAM was vital. They immediately deployed their minimal footprint capture tools, literally within minutes of the initial alert. It was a race against the clock.
Capturing the RAM while the attack was live.
Yep. Got the memory dump. Then, rapid analysis using tools like volatility. They dug into the memory image, found the specific process the ransomware was running under, analyzed its memory, and the breakthrough. They located and extracted the actual decryption key directly from the ransomware's memory.
No way. The key was just sitting there in RAM.
It had to be. For the ransomware to do the encryption, it needed the key loaded into memory. It's like finding the master key sitting on the table inside the bank vault just as the thief is about to use it.
Incredible.
With that key, they not only stopped the attack cold, but they were able to quickly develop a tool to decrypt the few files that had been hit already. It prevented catastrophic data loss across hundreds of systems, saved the company potentially millions. It was a direct result of grabbing that ephemeral RAM data at the perfect moment.
That is a phenomenal save. Literally snatching victory from the jaws of disaster using RAM. Okay, what about a different kind of case? Maybe an insider threat, something sneakier.
Yeah, we've seen those too. Cases where employees were being very careful to cover their tracks on disk. One situation involved an employee secretly running unauthorized remote desktop software. They were doing it through a hidden browser session.
Trying to bypass company security.
Exactly. Accessing internal systems from outside without permission, on the hard drive, nothing obvious, no installed software, logs were minimal. It looked like maybe a dodgy browser extension or a web-based tool designed to leave no trace on disk.
So how did RAM help?
The live memory dump captured everything. It revealed the active remote session itself. It showed the specific IP address they were connecting from, the remote access protocol being used, all the login activity associated with it.
Stuff that wasn't logged anywhere else.
Correct. Evidence that was completely invisible just looking at the disk or standard logs. It provided irrefutable proof of the unauthorized access, the how, the when, the who, even though they tried hard to hide it. It was like catching them red-handed on a live camera feed, even if they destroyed the recording later.
Wow. Finds the activity even when they try to erase it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned encrypted messages earlier. Can RAM really help with those super secure, supposedly undeletable communications?
Yes, and this is another powerful example, often crucial in criminal cases. We worked on a complex fraud investigation where the suspects were using highly encrypted messaging apps. They thought their conversations were totally secure, unrecoverable.
End-to-end encryption, right?
Exactly. Designed so only the sender and receiver can read them. On the disk, all you see is encrypted gobbledygook, meaningless data.
So how did RAM help?
Here's the kicker. Despite the strong encryption, for the user to actually read the messages on their phone or computer, the app has to decrypt them.
Right. To display them.
And that decryption happens in volatile memory. So when we captured the live RAM from the suspect's devices, boom, we found decrypted messages still sitting there, sometimes entire conversations, timestamps, who was talking.
Even from the super secure apps.
Even from those, it provided critical evidence, the actual content of their fraudulent communications that would have been impossible to get otherwise. You weren't going to break the encryption. Disk images were useless. But RAM held the decrypted truth, captured at the moment of interaction.
That's amazing. It shows RAM can expose info even from supposedly bulletproof apps. These examples really drive home the impact. Stopping attacks, uncovering hidden actions, retrieving evidence everyone thought was gone, it makes the theory very real.
It does. It highlights why this field is just so critical.
Okay, with such incredible power to uncover lost evidence, it can't be easy. There have to be significant challenges, risks involved. What are investigators really up against when doing volatile memory forensics? It sounds like more than just running a program.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's incredibly potent, but it comes with unique hurdles that demand serious precision, expertise, and, frankly, a calm head under pressure. The biggest one is probably the one-shot limitation.
Only one chance to get it right.
Pretty much. Unlike a hard drive where you can often make multiple copies without losing data, with RAM, you typically get one single crucial opportunity to capture it. If you mess up, if the system crashes mid-capture, if the power blips, or someone just shuts it down before you're done,
It's gone.
it's gone forever, or damaged beyond use. The pressure in that moment, it's immense. It's like trying to catch that fragile butterfly without crushing it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And building on that, there's the inherent risk of altering memory during the capture itself. We touched on this, the paradox.
Right, the tool itself changes things.
Exactly. Running the capture tool uses system resources, it loads into memory, it runs code, it saves the data somewhere. All these actions inevitably change the very memory state you're trying to preserve. So you need those specialized, minimal footprint tools and extreme care to minimize the impact. It's a delicate dance observe without changing.
The real tightrope walk. Trying to preserve evidence without accidentally damaging it. What about after you do manage to capture it?
Well, then comes the next challenge. RAM analysis is incredibly resource intensive.
Takes a lot of computing power.
A ton. Raw memory dumps are huge, gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes, even terabytes now. Analyzing that massive amount of raw data needs powerful forensic workstations. You need lots of processing power, a lot of RAM on the analysis machine itself just to handle the image, and huge amounts of storage.
Not something you can do on a regular laptop then.
Definitely not casually. The sheer scale and complexity mean analysis can take hours, sometimes days of dedicated processing, even after you've got the dump. It's a heavy lift, computationally speaking.
Okay, so given these big challenges, the one shot, the risk of alteration, the resource demands, what are the essential best practices? The golden rules for doing this right, ensuring the evidence is solid, admissible.
These best practices are absolutely crucial, non-negotiable for reliable results and for making sure the findings hold up. First, and we've hit this a few times, prioritize trusted, minimal footprint acquisition tools.
The right tool for the job.
Exactly. Tools like Dumpit, Belkasoft, Magnet RAM Capture, ones that are proven, reliable, designed specifically to have the least impact, and ideally validated independently. Tool selection is paramount for data integrity.
Okay.
What's that? And this is fundamental digital forensics 101. Capture RAM before shutting down or imaging disks. Always.
Order matters.
Critically. In any investigation workflow, memory acquisition must come first, before anything else that could change it. Shut down the system, RAM wiped. Start imaging the hard drive first. That activity generates new memory usage, overwriting potentially crucial volatile data. You capture the most volatile first, then move to persistent storage. It protects that one shot.
Got it. Memory first, always. What else?
Third, validate your tools in a clean lab before you use them in the field.
Test them beforehand.
Absolutely. You can't just download a tool and trust it on a critical case. You need to thoroughly test and validate every forensic tool in a controlled environment first. Understand exactly how it works, what it captures, what tiny footprint it does leave. This ensures accuracy, reliability, and crucially, the admissibility of the evidence in court. You need to prove your tools work correctly.
Makes sense. Know your tools inside and out.
And finally, a core principle for all forensic evidence, always hash and document everything.
The chain of custody.
Precisely. Just because memory is volatile doesn't mean the process can be sloppy. Every step taken, every tool used, every command run, every piece of data captured, It all needs meticulous documentation. You create cryptographic hashes, unique digital fingerprints of the memory dump immediately after capture, and record them.
To prove it hasn't been tampered with.
Exactly. It ensures data integrity, proves the chain of custody, and makes the evidence trustworthy for analysis or legal proceedings. It's about applying scientific rigor even to something as fleeting as RAM.
This really highlights the incredible skill and precision needed. It's not just technical know-how, but strict methodology to navigate these challenges and get reliable results, turning those pitfalls into proof.
It really is a specialized discipline.
Got an incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
We've journeyed through this hidden, ephemeral digital landscape, learned how investigators find these ghosts, transient yet vital digital evidence that would otherwise just vanish. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
That while stuff on our screen seems fleeting, memory, in a way, doesn't really forget.
Yeah.
At least, not until you pull the plug.
It definitely changes how you think about digital traces, which leads to maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to consider.
Okay.
Given how much critical information lives in volatile memory, often unseen, beyond our direct control, what does that tell us about the true digital footprint we leave? Even when we think we've cleaned up, closed apps, used secure tools,
that there's more going on than we realize.
Maybe. It highlights these invisible layers of our digital lives and the ongoing challenge of really securing and understanding them, something to chew on.
That is definitely something to think about, what's really happening inside our devices. Okay, looking ahead. For our next deep dive, we're taking another fascinating turn. We'll be digging into forensic timelines.
Ooh, timelines, putting the pieces together.
Exactly. Get ready for F is for fragments in time. We'll explore more about how live memory fits in, the traces malware leaves, and much more about how investigators reconstruct events from all these digital breadcrumbs. You won't want to miss it.
Definitely subscribe to F for Forensics wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss that one. And hey, follow us on social media at F for Forensics. We share extra insights, continue the discussion there.
Your curiosity keeps us going. Stay curious.
Stay careful.
Catch you next time.